There's no proof that is what he did do. I want to bring in Matt Schlapp, who's chairman of the American Conservative Union and a Trump surrogate. Good morning, Matt.
Good morning.
All right, here we go. Explain to me, we've heard genius being spoken about Donald Trump over the last 24 hours. Someone who's such a great businessman lose nearly $1 billion in the go-go 90s, 1995.
It's a lot of money, isn't it? Look, I think it's been well chronicled. He's had his ups and his downs. I think he famously said one day when he was walking on the streets of New York and passed a homeless man that that guy had more money than he did. You know, he's always been someone who's been in the spotlight. We've seen his businesses take off. He's had some bad years, and at the end of the day, he's a billionaire worth a lot of money. He's had tremendous success, and I think he's really hitting a chord with voters across the country who want an outsider, want a different voice in politics.
Well, he has struck a chord with that common working man who feels like they've been screwed by the system. As we look at these taxes, it seems that it is this system that has worked so well for Donald Trump. Why wouldn't he make his taxes, whether or not he gives the tax return or not, the central focus of the campaign and say, I have been able to take advantage of this loophole, and that one, and here's how I'm going to change them. We've never seen specifics.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think he's the first person to tell you that he's very well connected. He said in one of the Republican debates during the primary that he understands the system because he's been a part of the system and it's treated him very well, but in the end it's treated the country very poorly. And he's been able to walk this line between someone who's been successful and been able to take advantage of things, but at the same time he gets the fact that in the end our country isn't going to be able to get itself back on track unless it has, in this case, tax reform. We have to completely change the way we tax people in this country. This is an example of what people look at the tax code and say, it's, you know, it just doesn't make a lot of sense.
If this is an example, why did the New York Times have to make the example for us? And what loopholes is Donald Trump going to close?
Oh, no, we didn't need, no, we did not need this example to know that our tax system is ridiculous. Look, we have the highest taxes in the universe. We tax corporations at one of the highest rates on the globe, and if you're a small business person, you get taxed at even a higher rate. The way we confiscate wealth at the federal level is absurd because the problem is we're not creating the types of jobs and getting the kind of economic activity we need.
Then those small business people, those contractors who suffered that 1995 year with Donald Trump when he had those losses, when he made the money back, did he go back to those creditors, to those small business people, and pay them back?
Well, I think you're confusing two things. You're saying bankruptcy as opposed to declaring a loss. I mean, I've declared losses on my taxes. Most people who have assets declare losses on their taxes. The question is this, which is, what do we do to get those small business people on a better footing? Taxing them at these ridiculously high Obamacare rates isn't going to create jobs in this country.
No, sir, I'm not actually confused. When Donald Trump has had failed real estate projects, there's been many people who haven't been able to get paid. When he then made that money back in later years, did he go back to the little guy? It's that little guy that is his core base. It's not the business elite. It's not his peers who are backing him. It's the common guy.
Let me ask you a question. In your life, have you ever said that you had better service one time than another time? Have you ever been in a restaurant where they served you something that was not edible and you didn't have to pay for your meal? When you're a business person, you subcontract services all the time. And there are times when you pay in full and sometimes when you pay extra and sometimes when you don't.
I'm an American, and
I am too.
My word is my bond. Whether I have good service or bad service, I pay for services rendered.
Well, you wouldn't be a very good business person if you paid if they did a bad job.
No. When I ask someone to do work, I absolutely pay them. But let's move on.
Sure.
Donald Trump, let's talk about his behavior. He needs to pull these undecided voters, these voters right now. I'm looking at this AP article about The Apprentice. He had contestants on The Apprentice as well as employees who have said he used sexist language to talk about them, again referring to the size of their breasts. Well, they've got an ad out right now with Ivanka Trump talking about how much Donald Trump cares about women. I'm a woman and I'm a mother. How do I take this?
Well, if you were to read the New York Times or the AP on some of this coverage, I think it's easy to see why women would get offended at it. But do they also understand that there are plenty of women in the Trump organization that say that that's not the way they're treated? And is it true that he has people from that very show, The Apprentice, who are out there on the road every day talking about how they were respected by Donald Trump? You know, at the end of the day, this election's not going to be decided on the Clinton campaign working with the media to say that Donald Trump's a bad guy. This election is going to be decided on their economic plans, on their plans to defeat terrorism, and on their plans to get Washington working again. I think that's what we should be focusing on, not an October hit job to try to make Donald Trump unelectable. I don't think it's the right thing to do.
We can leave Hillary Clinton out of it. On Saturday night, when I watched that Donald Trump rally, when I saw him question Hillary Clinton being faithful to Bill Clinton, when I saw him turn from the podium and pretend to fall down like she collapsed when she was sick. No one created that. Donald did. Are there any facts to back up his claim that she wasn't faithful or loyal to her husband?
You know, I don't know what you're referring to there. I think what he's saying is that Bill and Hillary Clinton should not be able to go out there and prosecute a moral case against Donald Trump when they live in their own glass house. And we should not let them get away with saying that somehow they can make the moral case. Look, he was impeached. He was disbarred. He paid $1 million in fines. She has been in scandal after scandal, which started when she was the first lady and fired the travel office, stole $20,000 worth of furniture. They are a scandal machine, and why aren't we focusing on them?
I want to be unfair to if you don't know the piece I'm referring to. Let me play it then. Here it is.
I don't even think she's loyal to Bill. You want to know the truth. And really, folks, really, why should she be?
So so I'm asking, are there facts that back up the claim?
Yeah, did you cover politics in the 1990s? The Clinton marriage and the Clinton scandals and the Clinton controversies one after the other. You don't think it's ripe in the minds of voters that there's a little hypocrisy here when they go after Donald Trump's morality and the things he says?
Okay, well, in the 1990s, Donald Trump was openly dating Marla Maples while he was married to Ivana. And he has said, you know what? I don't talk about that. It's not a problem. How is his infidelities not a problem, but hers are?
Well, I think the question is this, which is Hillary Clinton is trying to make the case that Donald Trump is a misogynist and that his supporters are deplorables, and he is pushing back on the fact that she's in no position to make those charges.
No, I'm asking you, not Hillary Clinton, but I'm asking you, how come it's okay that he was cheating on his wife with Marla Maples, and that's okay, and
Let me make it really clear. Let me make it really clear. I'm not supporting Donald Trump because I condone the fact that he had affairs or had multiple marriages. I don't think that that is something I'm voting on. I'm voting on the fact that I think he has a plan for the economy. I think he has a plan to make sure that we defeat terrorism. And I think he has a plan to upend Washington. And I think that's what the voters care about. My feeling is all this other stuff, it might be tawdry. We might say things that are a bit raw. But it's not centrally what this election is about. It's what Hillary Clinton has to make it about, because she can't win on those issues. I want to talk about those issues. Can we talk about those issues?
By issues, we can talk about Donald Trump as a businessman. We can talk about the economy. Now that we've seen the light of his genius, as Rudy Giuliani has said about his taxes, are we, A, going to see his tax returns and get specifics about what he is going to do, those advantages he was able to take,
Let's talk about the specifics.
Okay, great. What is he going to do from an economic perspective, from a tax code perspective, to help middle America? The kind of advantages he's been able to use.
Yeah, I think he's been very clear. The first thing is I think he believes that we need to radically reduce tax rates. We have the highest tax rates for corporations in the civilized world, one of the near the top.
We have a higher tax rate than, for example, Europe, but we have much better growth in Europe. We're practically stagnant over there.
Wait, are you kidding? You're not going to defend the Obama growth, which has been paltry. Even liberal economists will tell you that after coming out of the Great Recession, that we have had terrible growth. And if you're an American out there in the economy and you're struggling for a job, they would listen to what you just said and scratch their head. This economy, people are hurting.
Excuse me, sir. If we're talking about a tax rate, we do have a higher tax rate here in the United States than in Europe, but our growth has been stronger than it has been, let's say, in Europe.
Yeah, but you're not. What tax rate are you talking to? You talking about the federal tax rate? Are you?
We're talking about corporate tax rate. That's what you're referring to. You said we have among the highest corporate tax rates out there.
That's right, and it also matters the deductions you get. So it all comes into the same question. The fact is we've had inversions of companies leaving this country and going to Europe and going to other parts of the globe because, quite frankly, they're voting with their feet against the American economy. And that hurt participation in the labor market since Jimmy Carter was president.
Without
it's very clear that Hillary Clinton wants to raise taxes. She says on the wealthy, but if you're middle class, when they say they're going to raise taxes on the wealthy, you know it's coming at you as well because you have to tax more broadly to get the types of revenues that she needs. That will not result in greater economic growth. Under Obama, we've had paltry economic growth.
People
we've been
do not
recession.
Americans do not like corporate tax inversions. The question is, are Americans going to like business people who are able to take advantage of tax loopholes for their own business success? All right, we're going to leave it there. Thanks, Matt.
You have to admit the Clintons are pretty wealthy as well, and they've taken advantage of every single tax advantage they can, and that's what the system is, and the system needs to be changed.
The system does need to be changed. This afternoon, both candidates are going to be talking about the economy, and I look forward to tomorrow's vice presidential debate, where for sure we're going to be talking about the economy.
Thanks for having me on.
The tax code. All right, thanks, Matt.
Thank you.